Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, midnight, whatever time you're listening to this lesson. I'm delighted you have enrolled on the West Midlands Open College Assessor Qualifications. Today, I just want to introduce the first induction to where you're going to be going on the journey to be qualified assessor. There are three main programs under assessor qualifications, and all form part of what we call internal quality assurance, IQA. I'm just going to want to look at a few points today, introduce the assignments, how they look like, how they're structured, how you're expected to produce evidence, and how you'll be assessed. And when you look at this assessment, I'm going to show you, I'd like you to plan your own journey based on what you've been instructed to do. And I want you to enjoy yourself. I want to show you that actually the assessor qualifications fall under what we call the IQA. This is the internal quality assurance. Now, where are these applied? Application, I just want you to know the sort of direction application. You find that in further education and possibly higher education. In the UK, this is quite important. We also have trainers. You might want to become a trainer. And any institution offering qualifications. Offering what? Qualifications of any sort. Offering qualifications. So this is just part of the spectrum of things that you might find yourself focusing onto and enjoying. The job possibilities can be found in further education and higher education. You can become a trainer yourself, or any institution that offer any sort of qualification. In the UK, you are required to have your qualification as an assessor. That way you become somebody or a person who can validate an assessment process. That is to say, when there is an internal inspection by what we call internal verifier, they require that every single person involved in the process, let me just pick up the mouse so you can see me as well, involved in the process of, just bear with me, let me just track the myself, yes. Any person involved in the, let me just get that out of the way, maybe you can, so you can keep on seeing that, what's there, right, yes. So any person involved in assessing learners must be fully qualified, which is why you have come on this program offered by West Midlands Open College. Two things you're going to obtain. Number one, when you finish your actual assessment course with us, we'll issue a certificate of completion when we feel that you have satisfied the criteria of the materials that we've given you. There's assessment criteria that we're going to give you. If you satisfy that, we're going to give you a certificate of completion for any of these qualifications you are on. Secondly, there is a final EQA, external quality assurance visit from the exam board from which we are accrediting this program. After you complete their own process and you're certified, we then also receive a certificate from that exam board. So you're going to have two sets. One from us, certificate of completion. The second one, a final awarding to authenticate everything that you've done, and you'll be done. This is what you're going to obtain. Now, how are we going to satisfy the criteria that we're going to be assessed on? How are we going to guide you? At West Midlands Open College, we have adopted writing assignment brief. These will just be guidelines of how you can track your performance. Sometimes there is no need to produce that assignment brief. we just go case by case. But I think there's a slight problem in case by case. For example, after you've met your tutor and somehow you lose track of things, if there's no brief of what you're supposed to do, you keep calling the tutor. And we don't want you to be in that position. And for authentication, we want you to take control of your journey. Your lessons, your learning must be driven by yourself. A tutor is a facilitator. An assessor is a facilitator. So as you come on board, you're going to have the same kind of style. You are supposed to support your learners like we're going to be supporting you. And the best way to learn is when learners take their learning in their own hands. But with that, we give them a roadmap, a guideline. Are you happy with that? Okay, let me just now very quickly write something for you that will help us to just move in the right direction. At this point in time, I want to, let me just move this table. I didn't want it was lights are all over here. Sorry. So for us to be able to do a fine job, we will introduce objectives for this lesson. Number one, to identify a road map. For what? For assessment. Okay. Then to describe and explain. Explain what? The requirements. The requirements to achieve, yes, to achieve or meet the criteria. Criteria for what? For assessment. If you meet the criteria for assessment, then you know that you are passing. So in this session, I want us to identify a roadmap for assessment, to describe and explain the requirements to achieve or meet the criteria for assessment. This is for you, not for your learners. When we begin to talk about your learners, it's another topic altogether. Today, it is you, the assessee, the person who is on the program. Why are we doing this? So that we show you exactly where you ought to go and what you're supposed to do. So you see these objectives are going to help us in today's session. Now, before I go any further, I just want to introduce one aspect. Let's identify. Number one, we are going to have 3 assignments, and we're going to identify this and discuss through 3 assignments. And these are done holistically. Holistic assessment simply means, I'll just extend the page and discuss holistic assessment. Yes. Here we go. Now, in holistic assessment, we are actually spanning the questions to meet criteria across Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3. I'll just simply do this. If this is Unit 1, and that is Unit 2, and that is Unit 3. Now, this assignment 1 must be designed such that it also meets some criteria over there, and criteria over there. This is called holistic assessment. Holistic assessment. Now, the way you achieve holistic assessment is in the design of your work. The way your work is designed, it can either fail to miss the holistic assessment or achieve it. So the way we have designed our assignments here is such that assignment 1, although I beg your pardon, you haven't begun looking at unit 3, some aspects of unit 3 in there which are similar to a unit 1 must be included. And this will become very clear as we go step by step looking at the assignments. So this way in itself compresses the time at which you can achieve your qualification, because some aspects of assessment or questions, by nature of the topic itself or the course itself or courses themselves, you cannot avoid to repeat them in the next lesson. For example, principles of assessment. In unit 1, I might ask you about what are the principles of assessment. Then you tell me the principles, what they are. In unit 3, I'd like you to implement principles of assessment. Now, if in unit 1, in your description, you have talked about the implementation of the principles, and also you have demonstrated in your planning, I must award you that criteria because you've met it. You understand? There's no reason for you, I don't see a reason why you should repeat the same thing which you have done already in unit 1, in unit 3. So at that point, you are awarded. Let's pause here, we'll continue. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for being patient, and let's just proceed on and discuss the actual requirements now. We have identified 3 assignments, and I'm going to go through assignment by assignment and also criteria by criteria and see you how they are connected together with a view to carry out holistic assessment. And the way the assignment brief is designed is to actually address the issue of holistic assessment. Number 1, the advantage is to compress the time frame in which you can achieve some assessment criteria. Secondly, to remove repetition of things that you've done before. Thirdly, it will also require prior, it also encourage or recognize prior knowledge. Meaning, if there is a piece of evidence that you have already acquired in recent times, it's current and valid, it can be brought into the assessment folder. What do I mean? For example, if from your own job role, you've done some assessment of some sort and you've recorded the evidence in an acceptable manner and in your folder at the workplace and your manager was happy with it, we can bring it on board and then we'll take it through our own due diligence. If it's good, it will be admitted. If it's not, we'll just ask you to do some more improvement or follow the new instructions that we've given you. You see that when you become an assessor, you'll have to consider those aspects as well for your own learners, the ones you're going to be looking after. Because knowledge is not sequential, it is holistic. We can't say it ended there, therefore that one doesn't exist. No, 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 no. We connect to these things. There's a constructive theory where knowledge is connected. Prior knowledge is connected to the current practice and so forth. There are some theories that I'll point you to, especially those people who are on the caters or peters, that you can just look at. For those people on the debtors, you have to study those in depth. Come on, let me go back to the topic. Let's now go examine point by point. I did explain to you that we are going to carry on holistic assessment, and as you can see on the board here, I beg your pardon, here, there is Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, and these are going to be assessed holistically. Now, how have we designed our assessment material for you to be able to achieve what you're supposed to achieve? Let's go very quickly now to the materials. I'll just go through step by step with you. An assignment brief is produced and will look something like this. There'll be the college logo, title of assessment, in fact, title of assessment, candidate name, candidate number, exam board, assessor name, which is the assessor that I'm going to give you. Now, if I start with assignment 1, it will help us a lot so that we can see how they fit into each other. Assignment 1, planning and assessment. That is the one we're giving you as the first assignment. Why? We want you, first of all, to be focused. How do you plan an assessment? So now I'm describing and we're explaining the assessment and how you're going to achieve this criteria. The same thing that you learn here, you'll be able to teach your own candidates in whatever discipline that you are going to apply your skills. So title is very important. The candidate name, which is now you being a candidate in my class, or your tutor, or whoever is looking after you, you must put your name there. The candidate number is your ID number that reflects the exam board that we have put you on. If you haven't got that one yet, put your candidate number for the center, for the college. We'll sort out in the future. Exam board, as I said before, exam council that we are dealing with. Assessor name, it will be your assessor or your tutor. Now, the first thing we say, the assignment is designed to holistically cover a wide range of assessment criteria across the units 1 and 2 and unit 3. This is the point I was sort of trying to explain to you. You must say it in the assignment so that when the candidates start their work, even their spectrum of reading can extend across the units. As you see later, even yourself now, your reading, your research, and your practice must extend across all the 3 units. We proceed. Assessment criteria. Table 1. It's essential that you have this table in your work. And this assignment has a table. 1.1, this number, reference number here, is obtained from the actual Unit 1 scheme of work. Unit 1 syllabus, or in other assessment, they call them the data sheet, where you describe their course, how it's laid out. So we obtain this criteria from Unit 1. Explain the functions of assessment in learning and development. So this criteria must be met. It's only found in Unit 1. Then we have define the key concept and principles of assessment. This is also found in Unit 1. We have another criteria, 1.3. These numbers are actual numbers we caught from the assessment criteria of that Unit 1. Explain the responsibilities of the assessor. Now these criteria from 1.1, 1.2 to 1.3 are actually very important, and you can write or talk about them or just video record your presentation. It depends on what the tutor wants you to do. If they want you to produce a certain evidence to show that, just do that. But I'll show you what we require you to produce in these materials. I proceed. We come to plan the assessment of occupational competence to address learner needs and current achievements. Now, this criteria is also found linked to a criteria in Unit 2 and also Unit 3, which is criteria 1.1. If you go in that assessment material for Unit 3, you find that 1.1 links to this. Therefore, we don't want to assess it more than once. We assess this only once. How? By including it into the first assignment. Once you produce the evidence for that, it also covers that criteria in that assessment. So when you come to the stage of Unit 3, you won't have to do that again. Now, there's also another point, 3.1, summarized key factors to consider when planning assessment. This is found in Unit 2 as well, because in Unit 1, there is that as a link, key factors to consider when planning assessment. We are planning an assessment in here, right? But there are some factors you've got to consider, and these factors are found in Unit 2. Why not bring them up front here, rather than you repeat them when you get to do the assignment 2? So you see certain elements which are required to be covered in Unit 1 because of the nature of the task must be brought in from other assignments or from other units. Are you with me? So that when you get to that unit, you have already achieved it. It might be that at the end of the day, you might not want to do those other units, but the criteria supports it. For example, in the future, if you want to progress to those units, you'll have had your evidence already. Are you with me? Wonderful. Another point is explain or evaluate the benefits of using a holistic approach to assessment. I did discuss the reason for that, so you can use this presentation, introduction, to evaluate that. Explain how to plan a holistic approach to assessment. This very example I've given you here, the very example I gave you in this introduction here, when I was discussing this point, would be the points you can use. Number 1, to avoid repetition and reducing the risk of failing by candidates. Secondly, to compress a time frame in which you can achieve certain criterion. Are you with me? And so forth. It also involves recognizing prior knowledge, and that has also an aspect of raising confidence of the learners, because sometimes some people might lose confidence because they think they won't pass this course. Why? Etc. Because they've not done it before. But if you recognize what they have achieved before, it boosts their confidence. And if they have achieved one aspect in this unit, and they found that the higher units has been achieved as well because of that one unit, it raises their confidence and compresses the time in which they can be able to achieve this qualification. But with quality, that's very essential. So when you are answering that question, these are some of the points that you have to consider. Now, in this assessment brief, there will be notes. Now, the notes can include, this is the feedback notes, which the assessor, after he goes or she goes through your work, they give a feedback. The notes can include opportunity for other criteria met based on the quality of work. So it could be that you have written so much or produced a lot of evidence which has covered even other criteria not reflected in this. Because you see, learning is a journey. There's some things that you can do now which you might need in the future. So a good assessor should be able to appraise your work to the highest standard, and they bring out certain elements which you thought you had not achieved. So when you begin to assess others, I want to have this kind of mindset as well. Recognize achievement for later, and those which they have already sort of made based on the given criteria. You must push your learners to a place where they see themselves as achieving. Okay, I think I'll end here. The next session, I'll talk about how the brief is designed, and then we're going to break out certain points which will help us to make sure that the evidence we present is accurate. Thank you very much. For any questions, you know where to go. Ring us. Just go on the website as it appears on the screen, or on your documents, or on your Moodle account, the online learning account. Go and chat with your tutor there. You'll be provided with the necessary information. Thank you very much, and God bless you.